Instruction, golf news, equipment, travel, interviews, course profiles, and more. Your weekly fix of all things golf is about to begin. It's the Flagstick Podcast with your hosts, Jeff Potter and Scott McLeod. All right, welcome to the Flagstick Podcast, everybody, all you golfers out there. I'm Jeff Potter. With me always is Scott McLeod.
There we go.
Less a severe mark on his forehead this week. Can't even tell. It's like nothing ever happened.
Oh, no.
Nothing ever happened. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Nobody. The podcast is brought to you this week by our very good friends at Cobra Golf. The all-new 3D printed irons featuring a fully free 3D printed club heads. These irons deliver an unmatched blend of feel, forgiveness, and precision, shaping that goes beyond the limits of traditional forging and casting. Experience the future of iron performance and get fit for Cobra's 3D printed irons today. Visit cobragolf.ca for all that information. Of course, we want you following us across all of our social media networks now more than ever. Instagram, X, TikTok, and Facebook. Please subscribe on Spotify, Audible, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. And we do encourage you to subscribe to the YouTube channel, like us, and click the notification bell. Make sure you never miss a single episode of this podcast or the special stuff that we post up on that YouTube channel, like what we were working on this week.
Yes, sir.
So don't miss out, really. I mean, that's the worst part is we got a couple of things coming up on the YouTube channel that you don't want to miss out on. One of those things is we're going to talk about on the show this week was the video shoot we had for the Flagstick Academy Series that we do, filming out at Casselview Golf and Country Club. We're going to talk about that a little bit because it was fun. It was cool. It was warm. And we're also going to talk about the RBC Canadian Open. It is RBC Canadian Open week. And that's all happening this week. So we're going to talk about that and kind of what to expect from the 2026 edition of the RBC Canadian Open. So
you got it.
Let's get to it. Front Nine, presented by Metcalf Golf Club, a natural setting, a pleasant challenge. Now is a great time, an awesome time to think about your golf season. Game packages for adults, juniors, and families are always available online, so check those out. Plus, 50th anniversary specials and events are happening at Metcalf this year. Yes, they're 50 years old. Visit metcalfgolf.com and stay in touch with your golf savings.
They're just a kid, 50 years old.
I know. I mean, there's golf courses that are, over 100 years old.
Oh, yes, of course.
To get to 50 becomes kind of a number, I think, in
that's a cool
golf
milestone.
World. It's just like kind of, wow, 50 years.
Yeah.
We're at 30.
It's just you look at the number of golf facilities. Obviously, it's getting more and more that are getting to the kind of the 100 mark, but we certainly have a lot more golf courses that are, kind of at that 50 mark in their evolution. And so 50 years of memories for a lot of people.
I guess so. Especially when it's been in the family for that long.
Yeah, and that's a difference, I guess, for that facility too. Is so many of the golf courses that we're familiar with, just in the last 30 years, have changed hands multiple times. I know I was down towards the Belleville area, and I started thinking about this one golf course, and who the current owners are, and then I was like, oh yeah, that's like I can remember the original owners, and I sort of forgot that. I was thinking of the past owner, and then I forgot the other owner before them, and it took me a while to come up with their name or whatever. But it's like, yeah, a lot of these, like every other business, things often change hands. Sometimes they change as far as generations, but in this case, it's a golf course that was started by certain people and continues under certain people.
It's interesting because it all depends on the lineage, right? It all depends on the siblings and that come below. Are they interested in the golf industry? Because you get a lot where somebody might have started a golf course. A father started the golf course, and the kids worked there, but they never really took to golf, never really had interest. So they get to a point where they don't want to run the golf course, so the golf course moves on to a different ownership group or management group. Whereas in the case of Metcalf, you've got Tom and Gloria that are there now, but it was built by the family to begin with. It
Yeah.
was still run by the family, and even with Rob Howe as the general manager, they're never Rob
Sure.
Howe might as well be family. Like, you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
He is family, really.
he's
Yeah.
he's as family as it gets over there. And then you've got
Yeah.
other golf courses like Falcon Ridge that are younger
Hmm.
than Metcalf, but started by
Yeah. Next
Steve
generation
Spratt,
already. Yep.
and Ryan
Ryan's
is
heavily
there
involved.
now,
Yep.
and so one would think that Ryan's
Yeah.
going to continue to run it for a long
Yeah.
time. And the Patterson family, same kind of thing.
Right.
Martin's kind of the
Yeah.
one that is in there now as a
Hmm.
family member, but Martin's got kids. Kevin or Mark's got kids. Like you don't.
Hmm.
Where's it all going to go from there with that family? But then you got
Well,
other golf courses that there are no
yes.
kids. So
Or the parent started it or bought it, and then the kid doesn't have an interest in it. I mean,
mhm,
we had that at Glen Lawrence, where all of a sudden Cheryl decided she wanted to get out of the business, and her dad had bought it, and then is gone. But we go back to Castleview. There's
mhm,
another course as far as generational. So yeah, but it's fun to
yeah,
see, and but yeah, it's also odd too when you get out on some of those golf courses, and we certainly remember people in their prime of doing things, and many of them may be retired, and you're now dealing with the next generation, and the next generation may have been somebody you knew as a 10-year-old, and now they're a 40-year-old, they're an
yeah,
adult, and running the facility and stuff. So but it's neat. It creates the ties with there for everyone, and that means the customers as well, because obviously, as you know, at a place like Metcalf, you see Tom and Gloria a fair bit on top of Rob, of course, and people, that's comforting for them, right?
yeah. Well, since you mentioned Castleview, being that we were out there doing the video shoot for the
Hmm.
Flagstick Academy Series, and
Yep.
Claude's son, Claude Leclerc's his son Alex.
Yep.
Now, when I started Flagstick in '96, and Castleview was one of the first courses that I profiled,
Yeah.
Alex was just a junior golfer,
Yeah.
like really young. Like we're
Yeah.
talking
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
young. Like that was 30 years ago. Alex is
Sure.
now the superintendent. Now Alex is
Yep.
the one making the golf course look as good as it did yesterday when we were there,
Right.
doing the filming. So
And
it's
Justine
crazy to see
is
that. And
obviously
just
managing the
yeah,
place.
just in managing it. So you know, and Justin was just a counter clerk at the time. So I mean, it's
Yeah.
like it's so weird how these things sort of evolve.
Evolve. Yeah. But they
Now,
do.
to that point, yes, we this week we're out at Castleview and doing the shooting. You don't see any worse for the wear, my friend. I mean, the
I'm
video, everything looks
yeah.
good, looks clean,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's funny how many people I was out and about, and I felt it was kind of important for me to kind of get back around a golf course for some reason. I just didn't want to be skittish around golf or whatever. And so I got out on the weekend and was doing some caddy and some coverage and stuff like that. And it was surprising how many people came up, and I don't know, I think they expected me to have a hole in my head or something like that, or which, fair enough.
fair enough. Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, obviously felt good enough and didn't have any nerves, and heard a few people yell for, and and I'm okay after getting struck in the head last Sunday by a golf ball. But it's certainly relating that experience to people, chatting to them about that. And yeah, it's been interesting, because just talking to golf course owners and stuff like that in different situations, and how they've dealt with it and stuff over the years. But yeah, no, it was good to get back on and do that video shoot that we had planned to do
Yeah.
last Tuesday. Obviously got waylaid on that one, and yeah, even didn't even have to wear a hat to cover my head yesterday. So
No, which is great. Or a
yeah.
Band-Aid, or
Yes,
anything like that.
exactly it. So yeah,
Well,
feeling
Michelle
fine.
always said you were hard-headed, so
Yeah,
um,
she's right, apparently.
yeah. So we were out there.
Yeah.
Gorgeous day,
Hmm.
absolutely gorgeous day, and well planned out because we had to have worked through that in record time.
Yeah.
It was
Well,
pretty good. We didn't have to move out of the way as much as we did. I think
no.
last year we had to move out of the way a bunch just because we got where we were shooting. We got kind of stuck in. There were some groups coming through.
Yeah.
Um, we picked a spot this year. We didn't have to get out of the way too much. I mean, you were dialed in because we only had single takes for majority of the 20 tips that we were videoing. So
Some of them. I was
some,
going
well,
back
I mean,
to
there's
some.
always going to be
Yeah.
retakes. I mean, that's a
Yeah.
given. If you pull it off in one take, 20 tips in a row. It's one thing to go and do a shoot a tip, one
Hmm.
tip,
Right. Oh yeah,
and
that's
do it in
no
one
brainer.
take. It's
Yeah.
a different thing when you're shooting 20 tips and you're trying to
Hmm.
make sure that the verbiage that you're using is
Hmm.
similar from tip to tip.
Right.
And you're kind of there's some repetitiveness there. So as soon as you
Yeah.
don't get it,
Right.
similar,
Yes.
then
Yeah.
you're automatically trying to redo it, even though all
Yeah.
the tips are going to appear at different times. So if one is different from the other, it really doesn't matter. You kind of
No.
in your brain are like, oh, I did that wrong,
Yeah.
so I got to redo it.
Yeah, and that's what happens when you get in front of the camera doing it. And now this is the third year doing the series at Casselview, and I think people should realize that what goes into it. It's not as simple as just going out there and just blabbing 20 things. It takes a long while. Actually, in fact, yesterday it was funny because yeah, we were doing our other shoot for July, but I had to sort of go back and look at the script and the outline for the filming for the 20 tips because I had been working on it for so long, just refining kind of what we wanted to do. People should understand as well, we're trying to make these as universal as possible. So,
Hmm.
we don't, yes, there's some specific issues that, are very common among golfers. But we want it to be sort of, when somebody clicks on a tip and they look at it on YouTube or social media or whatever, we want it to have a good chance that it may apply to a lot of people. Obviously, if it's a very niche tip, then people are just going to go click and move on. So we want the content to be as useful as possible. So one that is making sure that, we've got a good variety of stuff. And then two, it's like, okay, let's make sure that, when we're looking at the script and the idea and the concept for each one, we try to keep these down to a minute.
Yeah.
So we're trying to, clearly define the problem, clearly define the solution, trying to be somewhat efficient with the words, which can be hard sometimes. But yeah, just kind of running through. But you're right. I mean, going through the process, I think now that we've done it a little bit, kind of know where some great spots are to do some filming at Castleview. I think we've fallen in love with certain greens and certain
Yeah.
spots or whatever. They're just
17 green, 17
17.
fairway.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
can
It's just
pretty
a
much
great
do
spot to do
everything
it.
like 17 green, 17 fairway, and 18 tee.
Yeah,
You could pretty much do everything that we need to do right there. And
yeah,
because we're always there and trying to get our filming and stuff done ahead of the groups coming through,
right.
um, that's a good
Trying.
spot because that's at the end of a round. So there's a good chance that if we're there at like 8:30, 9 o'clock in the
Right.
morning doing shooting, which
Yeah.
is really good, bright sky, not the
Yep.
dew is kind of burned off, so you're not dealing with
Right.
that. That you're not going to run into anybody. However,
Hmm.
there
Yes,
were
we
some
did.
speedy golfers that teed off at 7 o'clock that were
Oh
up
yeah.
on us pretty quickly. So,
Yep. It's always
later in the
funny too
shoot, we
because
had to work through
they
that.
they
But
they tend to be curious too because we didn't have as much of that yesterday because we only ran into a couple groups, but we saw the people that were on 18 that we ran into. They're kind of, hey, what
mhm.
are you guys up to and stuff like this. And what's nice though is usually when you say, oh, we're shooting tips for Flagstick or whatever, oh, Flagstick or whatever, which is cool.
Yeah.
That kind of that recognition and I will say, over the last couple of years of doing this, certainly have heard a lot of feedback. I mean, some of these tips, there's thousands of views for multiple of them, and you hear people that, oh, I look forward to that, or they make reference to, oh, I saw your latest tip, and then you realize it was one from 2 years ago, but they're like, oh, I go back to that one all the time, and whatever. So, yeah, and really, it's not designed to be clickbait. It's designed to be as helpful as possible.
Well,
That's
that's
really what
it.
it's about.
And we talk about the length of the tips. Now, here's the thing.
Hmm.
When you look at golf instruction online, whether it's on YouTube, the tips that we do
Yep.
are designed to have not just a clip of a tip shown in your social media feeds. It's to have the
Right.
tip, which is
Right.
why the tips are designed to be a minute and a half in length maximum, so that you
Yep.
can quickly look at them, get
Yep.
the gist of what the instruction is about, and then move on from it. You can refer back to it if you want, but it's not designed to have like a 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 minute tip with all these
No.
fancy graphics all over the place and flashing up here and arrows and like
Yeah.
it's trying to like if we can put some graphic work into the video editing
Hmm.
that helps in that minute and a half, great, but we
Hmm.
don't want to distract from what the tip is. So the tip is it's largely demonstrated in that minute and a half,
Hmm.
communicated in that minute and a half, and move on. There's a lot of awesome tips that are posted by pros that are more lengthy than that
Hmm.
and have a lot more
Yeah.
visual
To them, I guess.
aids.
Sure.
But the
Yeah.
more visual aids and stuff that you add in, and the more fanciness that you add to it, generally speaking, the tip gets longer. And if the
Hmm.
tip doesn't get longer and you have all that stuff added in, then then you're distracting from the tip.
Hmm.
So we try to find a balance in how making sure that the tips are short and sweet and done, and
Hmm.
you move on. Because
Yeah.
we want to use the whole tip on our YouTube channel, but we also want to use the whole tip
Hmm.
on the social media. And when you're looking at something on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, you're generally not looking at it for 5 or 6 minutes.
No,
So
you get people that are 5, 6 seconds. And I think the other side of it too is that one thing I'm very mindful of when going ahead and doing these things is it's doing tips or instruction pieces as well that are made to pique curiosity.
mhm.
So the thing is, it's not designed to replace your instructor or your coach. The idea is
No.
like here's a concept, here's something that you might want to consider. And you know what? I want them to take that idea back to their coach or their instructor and say, hey, you know what? I was seeing this. Does this really apply to me? Is this an effective part of something that I can do? It's not meant to be a full solution. It's meant to be a little bit of entertainment, but also education as well. And then as a result of it, and I've heard that as well, where some other pros and stuff said, hey, I looked at that and they said, oh, that was something for me to think about as
Yeah.
a way to approach it to deal with that sort of problem. But also from a other perspective, their student said, hey, I saw this and you guys did a tip on this. I know I had one guy reach out last year and said, hey, my student told me you did this tip on this, and I think it was a stretch against towards a wall or something like that. And they actually asked me, they were trying to search for it
Oh,
because they had made reference to it and they wanted to see what it was because their student really liked it or whatever. And I said, oh yeah, here it is or whatever. And they're, oh, okay, that's perfect. And then they were going to just continue a process to build onto that to see how it applied to their student or whatever. So this is meant, again, it's a combination of a couple of things. It's entertainment, it's also educational, but it's meant to supplement other things as well.
exactly. Now, the other cool thing that we got to do, which we haven't done in a
Oh
very
yes.
long time, and this
Yeah.
was fun because
Yeah.
we're out there to do the Flagstick Academy Series, which is part of the YouTube series that we do
Hmm.
and for social. But we have another. We just finished, our first print issue in 6 years.
Yep.
And the July edition, which will be coming out mid-July,
Hmm.
is the feature in the July edition it's a short game
Instruction.
feature. It's
Yep.
an instruction feature that we're doing on the short game. So in order to maximize our time and so on, we
Yeah.
decided, hey, we're going to do the photo shoot, not the video shoot. We're going to do the
No.
photo shoot for the short game instruction feature at the same time. So we started
Hmm.
out, very first thing we did, went to the 18th green, and we shot the
Hmm.
photos for
Hmm.
the for the instruction feature for the July issue. So that's
Hmm.
something we haven't done
No.
and even before that, Kevin Haim did all the feature
Hmm.
instruction in the magazine for
Yep.
for the longest time. So Kevin later on in the publishing of the magazine would pretty much do his own
Right. Yeah.
shooting with his son Jake, and they
Yep.
would do the shooting and they would send everything to me, and I would put it
Right.
together and publish it for that particular July feature. This year, being that you're doing the short game feature, we're just like, hey, this makes a lot of sense. We're
Sure.
just going to shoot it all, but it was kind of cool to do. It's like we're doing a photo shoot.
Yeah, and it's such a different style of and format because the thing
Yes.
is you have to think of it differently. And in videos, they're sort of they're self-explanatory. The feature, it's explained more by the print aspect of it. So the still photos are just providing the effective visuals. So again, it takes a little bit more planning to go through that process and to choose kind of, okay, what's the best possible photos to do to illustrate the points that we're making in that
Hmm.
instruction feature. So yeah, so even though they're similar, they're totally different of how
Similar
the
but different.
similar, but I know. I mean, they're both, let's just say this. I mean, they're both related to instruction, but because of the way the content is done, it has to be presented in a slightly different way, much like, say, a still photo shoot, for an ad is
Mhm.
done versus something that's a social media clip or something
Yep.
like that. So it's a different medium. So, but yeah, it's fun to do as well. And again, as long as it, sort of helps people, we'll say that, the feature itself is really about, 5 different ways to kind of build a foundation for your short game.
Hmm.
And I tried to think, for me, I tried to go back to some of the key things that I tend to see with students all the time. And it's like, okay, if I was going to change a student's short game and give them, 5 things, like if somebody said, hey, what are 5 things that could really enhance their game? All right, what are they going to be? And that's hard to distill that down.
Yeah.
But again, you're trying to do as much in as small a space as possible to, again, provide something that is helpful to the golfer.
Yep. Well, hopefully we achieve that. We
I
certainly
hope
had a
so.
great day for it, and if I haven't
Yeah.
said it enough already, and this is not just shameless plugs for Casselview as the sponsor of the
Oh,
Flagstick
dude,
Academy
that
Series,
course is
but
in great
that
shape.
golf course, I'm telling
Yeah.
you right now, that
Yeah.
golf course is mint.
Yeah.
And I've seen a bunch, and there's look at lots of golf courses are in great shape right now.
Those greens are
But
so good.
yeah, the greens, I don't think there's a bad spot on the green.
First,
They're blemish-free greens,
yeah.
and they look like they're rolling okay.
Yeah.
The fairways look awesome. The way everything is cut and maintained, it looks
Yeah.
so good. It really
Lit
does. So
Literally the first, and you can attest to this, literally the first putt I hit was like a 30-footer, and the thing rolled end over end into the hole. And it just did no
yeah.
bounces, no skips, just pure. And it was just like, ooh, that's exactly
Sadly,
how it's
the
supposed to be.
that was on the photo shoot part.
Yes,
So I clicked like three
exactly.
photos during the putt
Just
just
missed the
because. I mean,
putt
really
going
didn't
in.
need them for the
No,
sake of the putt, but I thought, oh, I'll just click them. I thought I got a clip
I
of it
know.
actually dropping in the hole, but I
Yeah.
didn't. It was about a foot short of the hole when
Well,
I
that's
got the
okay.
picture, so it
Yeah.
did go in.
Yes.
But it
But you know what? You know what it did though is it got me fired up. I'm not gonna be able to, but it got me fired up to play some golf. And fortunately for them, they were very busy yesterday, so it would have been nice to be able to just go out and play afterwards. But yeah, just chipping on some of those fringes and putting and hitting those shots, it definitely got me fired up to play. And
yeah.
kind of disappointed that I didn't get to play that spring open for the PGA
Yes.
of Ottawa last week, but I'm sure I'll get back at some
I'm
point.
sure that we'll get it if we want. We will get an opportunity to
I
play
think so.
Castleview
I
this
think
year.
so.
I,
So yeah, speaking
I
of
know I
which,
know a
we
couple
should.
people out there
Yeah, do
who
you?
probably
Okay,
make some
that's good.
calls. Yeah, yeah.
Speaking of which, we should mention that the second event of the year for the Flagstick.com PGA of Ottawa Tour was held on Monday down
Hmm.
at Prescott, the Dynamic T Championship with Golf Supply House as the sponsor. Tough event for a lot of the guys, except for host pro Bill Minkhorst, who
Yeah,
had to do
shocking on that one.
yeah, exactly. The guy who's done the most laps around the golf course ended up winning with a score of 70. And it must have been a real treat as far as around the greens and stuff, because I certainly heard for some guys that made some scores and had a few extra putts. So yeah, but nice
Yeah,
for that event to happen. And the summer open is coming up at Whitetail quite soon as well.
yeah, that'll be fun. Now
Yeah.
you also we mentioned sort of alluded to earlier that you did some
Yes.
caddying at
Yeah.
the Eastern Provinces Championship, which runs concurrently with the Golf Ontario Women's and Seniors Women's Match Play, and that
Hmm.
finished up at Cataraqui on Monday. You were there.
Yeah.
You were caddying for Carly
Yeah,
Mayer,
Carly Mayer. Yeah. So
and
they did the stroke play qualifying was on Saturday. This has become a neat event because they're running that concurrently. It enhances both sides of the tournament and especially on the main division. I think there was 44 players in the main division, and there was probably 30. I mean, there's a bunch of juniors, obviously, Team Ontario members and so forth. There's probably 30 college bags represented, Canadian, US, lots of them. So, high quality of play, ran all the way through. And actually, in the end, it ended up being a collegiate player versus a junior player.
Wow.
Amelia McFarland, who plays out of the Ottawa Hunting Golf Club, just 16. She won the U17 Golf Ontario Championship last year. She managed to prevail over Mackenzie Cloutier, who plays at Arkansas State. So it ended up being Golf Quebec versus Golf Ontario in the final match, and it went to 19 holes.
Cool.
Mackenzie actually made a nice big putt on 18, and then over on the senior women's side of it, Lise Jubenville lost out, unfortunately, to Steffi Markovic, but two highly decorated players. So they had quite the match as well. But course was in great shape. Got to walk a lot of holes because not only after caddying, I went out and followed a lot of the matches. And I will say, and I mentioned this to you yesterday, and certainly appreciate it for those who are listening to this as well. But I heard from a number of parents from around the province, both provinces, Ontario and Quebec, that were very complimentary to us at Flagstick for our continuing amateur coverage, especially at this level in the up and coming players and so forth. Mostly saying that, it's pretty much the option now. They're pretty much ignored by, a lot of, some national entities and, obviously local papers and stuff. They're just, there's no other media that
was
kind of
always the
there.
issue
So
back when we started, when I
even
started
worse
everything
now.
in 96, that was always really the issue, is that the coverage locally or
Hmm.
regionally by
Yeah.
the local newspapers was dwindling, if
Yes.
existent at all.
Yeah.
And it wasn't mainstream enough for TSN or,
Right.
ESPN or Sportsnet or whatever to pick up any of
Sure.
that kind of amateur stuff, at least not in Canada.
Hmm.
So, we've been doing that for 30 years. We've been doing
Yeah.
the same kind of stuff,
Yeah.
and the introduction of the web and the
Hmm.
online side of things kind of expanded that coverage a
Definitely.
bit because it allowed us to spread the
Yeah.
word a little bit wider and
Hmm.
quicker. And then to see, returning with the print magazine, at least for Eastern Ontario and the Outaouais region, returning with the print magazine and having that information now in print that appeals
Hmm.
to a specific audience,
Hmm.
and we
Yep.
understand that there is a specific audience for what we do in print, and
Hmm.
I think it's funny. I actually was over at Metcalf and Golf Club, and I saw some younger uh,
Hmm.
people, golfers, sitting in the lounge in the restaurant, and they were reading the magazine. So,
Yeah.
um, starting to maybe get that younger audience interested in what everybody was interested in 30
Yeah.
years ago. So that's
Yep.
super exciting to see as well. And this is the only time I've said exciting in this podcast so far, so I am saying it.
Yeah. And I will say one thing, and I'm not trying to crap on any organizations and stuff like that, but again, having boots on the ground and being out to cover the story and actually see the story is
Hmm.
much different than just getting a summary of the event,
Hmm.
because there is ebb and flow to tournaments and how things go. And I think people are compelled by that. Anyways, yeah. No, it was good to be back out there. And, we do have some big other events coming to the region from outside this year, be it, things like the Ontario Women's Amateur, the PGA Women's Championship of Canada, lots of different things. So, but watch for more
Um,
content.
okay, so before we take a break, the
Yep.
last thing that I want to mention to everybody is for those of you that want to get into some tournament golf. Flagstick.com shootout presented by Cobra Puma is being played at Smuggler's Glen Golf Course, July 11th and 12th. Now, this is an amateur golf tournament
Hmm.
and features 3 to 4 divisions, depending on the number of players that we get signed up. We'd love it to be 4, but we need to get to that 72 number in order to make that happen.
Yep.
72 players in the field, and it's 2 rounds of golf at Smuggler's Glen. plus an awesome registration gift package that's being provided to us by Cobra Puma Golf.
Yep.
I've seen everything. I'll miss you the paper right here.
Cool.
Everything was awesome.
I'm peeking to see what's there.
Yeah, no peaks. So get over to flagstick.com or flagstickshootout.com and get yourself registered, because there is limited spots available, but there is space available now, and we need to get this thing filled up as quickly as possible so that I can get stuff ordered in and
getting dialed.
It's Smuggler's Glen, people. If you have played it, you want to play it, and if you haven't played it, guess what? You want to play it.
Yeah, and what a better way to play it? I mean, you can play
2 rounds of golf.
You can play the 2 rounds of golf, plus you get extra swag, and it's a tournament environment.
Steak
you
dinner.
The shootout portion of it, steak dinner. Just the whole vibe is great. Yeah. So, get your gang, your group. I mean, if you guys have planned to kind of play this at some point, make it a weekend.
Yeah, it's a perfect thing to make for a weekend. You contact the Glenhouse Resort and get your room booked for the tournament, and if you're close by, then you can commute. If not,
I drove down the park. I drove down the parkway yesterday on the way home, stopped in just on the way. Like I said, Jason's getting the place dialed. The Thousand Islands are in full swing. Lots of the boats out there. Yeah. It's just nature, just everything, the whole vibe. It just feels like a cottage, like you're going to. And yeah, everybody that goes and plays there, like, why haven't I been there sooner? So this is a great opportunity for people to do that, and everything's sort of packaged up and ready to go, and they can have a great weekend. So
there you go. Make it happen. All right, we got to take a break. When we come back, we're talking RBC Canadian Open here on the Flagstick podcast with Jeff Botter and Scott McLeod.
The future isn't forged, it's printed. We've combined 3D printing and state-of-the-art engineering to revolutionize how golf clubs are made. Our internal lattice saves an incredible amount of weight and moves it where it matters most. Irons with unmatched feel, forgiveness, and precision, all engineered into a compact player's shape. Performance only possible with 3D printing. Only possible with Cobra Golf.
All right, well, we're back at the Well, we're back. This is the Flagstick podcast, presented by Cobra Puma Golf. I'm Jeff Botter. I don't care who he is, because he's making fun of me. So, relevant Scott McLeod.
Not everyone has bloopers. Not everyone.
No.
But everyone does.
The thing is, we don't. If the podcast is actually happening, we don't cut the bloopers.
Generally not.
And there are some bloopers that occur when we're not recording, but
yeah,
if they're happening while we're recording, they don't get cut out.
I may have deleted any bloopers from yesterday. So.
It was brought to my attention last week.
Uh-oh.
That I dropped an F-bomb.
Did you?
But I did not. It was not. It was by a family member, Brandon, who said that I dropped an F-bomb. And then as we were sitting having dinner in the gazebo one night, we were listening to it. And Sean, my brother, was there. Trish, my wife, was there. And Sean kind of like, maybe it was. And Trish is like, that's not what he said. And I'm like, okay, my wife's got my back. You guys don't. I did not drop an F-bomb on this podcast.
Well, sometimes that might happen, and sometimes it's...
And even if I did, I don't care.
Whatever. It's appropriate sometimes.
Yes, exactly. Okay. Let's get at the back nine. Back nine presented by Falcon Ridge Golf Club with 27 holes of challenging golf at great rates. Falcon Ridge is a golfing experience that you do not want to miss. And do not forget that Falcon Ridge has built the first TrackMan range facility in Eastern Ontario. That's the TrackMan range is all about exciting, easy-to-use features that provide the ultimate range experience for every golfer at every level. It's practice, games, and virtual golf. To book the tee times or book one of the 10 TrackMan range bays, visit falconridgegolf.ca. Okay, well, we said we were going to talk RBC Canadian Open on the back nine, and so we shall talk RBC Canadian Open on the back nine.
Yeah.
Being played as the final tune-up prior to the U.S. Open at Shinnecock Hills, and hosted for the second consecutive time at the TPC Toronto at Osprey Valley. Awesome.
Yeah.
The tournament has a significantly stronger field than last year, although missing Rory McIlroy.
Yes,
that's
of course.
okay.
Yeah.
I mean, Rory's one guy.
Sure,
A golf
exactly.
tournament needs more than one.
Yeah.
But it will feature a very intriguing mix of world-class stars, some redemption stories, and a massive contingent of local Canadian golfers. I don't know if I want to call them
Hmm.
heroes, but they're
Well, to some they are. So yeah,
heroes. They're
yeah.
not
May
Superman
not
or
be to
Batman
you.
or
No,
Spider-Man or the
I
Hulk. I
think
mean, real people.
yeah, yeah, they are real people, and there's a couple things that I'll comment on, just kind of the opening before we kind of get into it a little bit. One, the yes, it's the last event before the U.S. Open. No, we're not saying that TPC Toronto is Shinnecock as far as the skills and everything that players have to play, but yes, it's the last event before, which also meant as well that that U.S. Open qualifier that was held at Lambton on Monday had a field of stars, everybody from Max Homa to you name it. Emiliano Grillo ended up winning it. So yes, there are a lot of players here. And my second comment, and regarding the field, and we'll get into the field a little bit more. And as you say, no Rory, but plenty of firepower. And one of the things that kind of drives me nuts a little bit about PGA Tour events is that everybody gets caught up in the stars, and I understand that for the average fan is maybe not as familiar with the depth of the field and the players out there, but this applies all the way down, whether it's Corn Ferry Tour or PGA Tour Americas, whatever the case. If you go out and watch these players, they are pros. They're significantly better than you will
Yep.
ever be. They are, so there's not like it's kind of like an everyman sort of thing that people like, oh, well, and let's compare it to NHL hockey. You know what I mean?
That's a
If
great
you,
comparison.
yeah, if you go and yes, the superstars, but if you go and see the no-name players, such as the no-name golfers and the no-name hockey players, but they're playing in the NHL or they're playing on the PGA Tour, believe me, you're going to be impressed. They're going to do things that you will not expect any other humans to be able to do. They're going to do it at a level. Maybe they haven't achieved the success of the very top percentage of the game, but I guarantee that if you go out to TPC Toronto at Osprey Valley this week and you follow a group of 3 players that you have no idea who they are, you're still going to come away impressed.
You will. And I really like the hockey analogy there, partly because of the fact that hockey
Yeah,
is an important part of my life.
sure, and Canada
But
as well. So
yeah, but here's the thing: the difference between a player that's playing in the AHL right now and
right,
a player that's playing in the NHL right now can be as simple as a one-way to a two-way contract.
sure, 100%.
So there are a lot of players that are playing on NHL teams
Hmm.
that are not the superstars. So not the
Right,
McDavids, the Drysidles,
right.
the Celebrinis, the
Hmm.
Bedards.
McDavid's, yeah,
But the guys that are on the third, fourth liners on those rosters, or even some of the second liners on those rosters, some of those guys there's guys playing in the AHL that are better players.
sure, yeah.
But
It's opportunity more than anything.
exactly, it's all
Yeah,
about opportunity. And when you're
right.
talking about PGA Tour,
Hmm.
um, you're talking about what 150 spots
Yeah,
that there are available to be on to actually be on the PGA Tour to get
yeah,
starts on the PGA Tour. 150
sure,
spots,
yeah,
and then down on the Corn Ferry Tour, there's another
yeah,
150 players playing on the
sure,
Corn Ferry Tour or
yeah.
more. Any one of those players, we saw it when the guys jumped to live, and I talked about this when this happened. When one door opens
Hmm.
for one group, or one door,
Yep.
a group leaves and the door opens for another group of players.
Hmm.
And those players came up from the Corn Ferry Tour and got spots, regular spots in the PGA Tour, and a lot of those guys started to make names for themselves
Hmm.
because they were already good enough to be there.
Right. Yeah.
So
I
when you
mean,
see, like to your point, when you see a field like this and you say, okay,
yeah,
well, yeah, there's some superstars in the field,
yeah.
and there's a lot of, you know, guys they don't know. Those
Hmm.
guys you don't know could very easily be on the PGA Tour right now,
Sure.
competing, winning, having top
Yeah.
tens. You know,
I mean, look at it in comparison. I mean, JT Poston won the Memorial on the weekend, and that's his 4th PGA Tour win. And the average household golfer is not going to know who JT Poston is, but I guarantee you, at some point, they probably might. Or, they're going to respect his skill level, and they're going to see that he beat the best players in the
Yep.
world for it. So, I mean, so yeah, so don't look at that as a deterrent as far as the field. And look, there's plenty of golfers to watch in this field, despite the fact that, Rory is not one of them this week.
Rory. I mean, here's the thing. You look at even a player like, and we'll talk about Yalamarju, but
Yep.
there's a player there. If that player right now is showing that he is a PGA Tour level player, as a rookie, what if he didn't get his tour card what if he was on the Corn Ferry Tour? What if he missed out by a shot and had to play the Corn Ferry Tour? Does that mean that he's not a good enough he's not a good golfer? Clearly he is. This is a great example of the fine line between
so many spots,
one tour and the other tour. If he's a stroke off, he doesn't get his tour card, and he's playing the Corn Ferry Tour and nobody's talking about it except Canadians. And then a stroke lower, he's on the PGA Tour and he's got 6 top 5 finishes this year. Obviously he's good, right? And we saw it with Svensson's, another one that kind of a little bit of a journeyman Canadian, PGA Tour player,
but has won, on tour. So,
so it's not. I'm telling you.
Yeah, and I think the thing is too, it's like, it's easy to get the biggest Primus spotlights when, you've had great amounts of success. And, this goes back to when we talk about coverage and stuff like that. But, when you're with players early on and you see them come up, how skilled they are, how talented they are, and yes, it's hard to get the average person to go see them. I mean, we always struggle with that with, PGA Tour America events and Corn Ferry Tour events. It's hard to get crowds, but people, they regret it later on when they're like, oh, okay, that player. I mean, Nick Taylor's won 5 times in the PGA Tour now, but I don't remember 2 people following him at the Great Waterway Classic at Upper Canada. You know what I mean? Because obviously they didn't know him. They weren't familiar with him. They didn't know he'd be a 5-time, PGA Tour winner. But now they know him as a Canadian, having won the Canadian Open and won him 5 times in the tour. And now all of a sudden, they're attracted to him. Well, guess what? He was pretty much the same golfer before. He just hadn't made his way up there yet. Much like Ryan Fox, who, people will know him now in Canada as, having won this tournament last year in this 4-hole playoff with Sam Burns. But this is a guy that, a lot of people maybe weren't familiar with. The New Zealand guy played mostly DP World Tour, but, there's a plaque in the middle of the 18th fairway now at TPC Toronto North Course, which is hosting this tournament, that has his name on it regarding, the shot that he hit that ended up getting his win. So, this is a guy who's finished 7th and won this event in his 2 starts in 24 and 25. So I suspect he will probably have a few more spectators following him than he did last year, for sure.
Pretty impressive, actually, when you think about the rounds. I mean, it was pretty impressive that there was even a playoff, considering 66, 66, 64, 66. I mean, yeah. I mean, that's a pretty incredible golf. And then to think that got you into a playoff.
Yeah.
And this is a golf course to show what Sam Burns did too, right? I mean,
yes. Yeah. I mean, and Sam Burns, the dude can putt, and he's continuing to play well. The golf course is a little bit firmer this year. I don't know if that's going to dissuade the scoring as much. I mean, this is just under 7,400 yards, par 70, a little softer, like I said, last year. So it might have been a little easier to hold the greens and stuff like that. They probably learned a lot from the. Yeah, I know they learned a lot from
the positioning of the tournament too. Is kind of like I mean, I know you don't want to make it a U.S. Open, but it is the Canadian Open. It's not like it's not like it's just another PGA Tour event ahead of the U.S. Open. This is what for the longest time was considered the 5th major
by many,
by many people. And the greats have always played in the Canadian Open, and this is a golf course that could be made to be pretty difficult. So. You don't want to make it U.S. Open conditions per se, but there's nothing also wrong with having long, rough, and fast, hard conditions. And it is supposed to be a warm-up to the U.S. Open. And like you said, you can't make it Shinnecock Hills. It's not the same kind of golf course. It's not the same location. So you can't make it that way, but you can certainly make it tough.
Yeah, and we did see the potential for that a couple of years ago when they had the PGA Tour Americas. Their tour championship was there, and the court everybody backed up on the last day, and it was single
Yeah.
digits under par that ended up winning. And this is the exact same golf course, so
Yeah.
it's just a matter of what the conditions get to. Now, I will say, there's a lot of width on this golf course, so players won't struggle too much off the tee. But the greens have a good amount of slope into them. There's par fours that go up to 530 yards long, so it's got some length. It's got some teeth
What
that
do you think the
way.
toughest of the like because we've played TPC Toronto.
Yeah, played all three courses there.
What do you think the toughest of the three courses is? Like, are they?
Ooh.
And this is just opinion, so we're not taking anything away from the organizers and what they're doing and why they're doing it. We're just saying, based on our own experience of having played all three golf courses, do we think that they're using the toughest golf course that could provide the best test, or are they using the golf course that can move the fans around the easiest?
Yeah, I think that's part of it here. I think the changes that Ian Andrew has made in the last few years have definitely strengthened the golf course. I think to make it more challenging in some ways than what you would see over on Heathlands and the Hoot course. So I would say it's the most appropriate now for a tour event.
Would you say Heathlands is actually the tougher of the three golf courses?
I'd say Heathlands, well, it doesn't quite have the length, but I would say it offers different challenges. It's more precision. It wouldn't be, as you say, it wouldn't be as suitable for hosting an event. And I think
there's not a lot of room between the fans.
And people have to realize that, there's a lot that goes into hosting PGA Tour events. It's not just picking, it's the greatest golf course or whatever. There's a lot of logistics that go into it as far as, spectator tents and fan experiences and fan shops and, TV cabling and towers. There's a lot that goes into it. I would say it is the best on the property for this event. I'm not going to say it's my favorite course on the property. I prefer to play Heathlands, but
as do I. I mean, it's the one I enjoy the most.
Yeah, but I would say it's the one now that is purpose built, and I would say, like I said, Ian Andrew, the changes he made. Not that Doug Carrick's original design wasn't fantastic, but the subtle changes, the roll-offs on edges of the greens. Like for an example, on 18, there's a very steep slope on the front part of the green on 18, and if you go for that and it doesn't quite get to the top, it rolls back down into the water. So as a result of it, again, they can set up hole locations that are in some challenging spots, like 11, the 230 whatever par 3. Be previous to getting this ready for the RBC Canadian Open a few years ago, that tee didn't exist. So it was a daunting hole for maybe the average golfer, but not for a tour pro. Not that a tour pro is being daunted by any holes anyways. But if the wind gets up there and you get this golf course firm, it changes as far as the scoring. So we'll see how it plays out this week. But whatever the case, I think they're going to make some adjustments from what we saw kind of last year when it was soggy. And I think as a result of it, the scoring is going to be a little bit on a different end of things. I'm not going to say it's not going to be low, but yeah.
I hope the course shows some teeth that I know it's capable of showing.
Yes. For sure.
That would be nice.
No, and you mentioned this tournament. I mean, this is the second oldest non-major on the PGA Tour schedule. The RBC Canadian Open dates back to 1904. Maybe a lot of people don't know that or don't have an appreciation for that, but as you mentioned, it goes back a long, long way. It's an historic event, and because it is a national open, it does mean more to players, especially golfers from the Commonwealth. They know the ties, and they're cognizant of the fact that it is a national open. We have to understand too, this is part of the Open qualifying series. So there's still 3 spots available in the Open Championship here. And there's some availability here to still get into the US Open for next week. So it does become important for those elements.
Yeah, so like even a guy like Adam Svensson who had a little bit of a mishap there. Now we talked about this, and I always focus on negative, and this isn't a negative thing. But we were talking about how how he picked up, and kind of like okay, that was a bit of a brain cramp,
Cramp.
if you will.
Yeah.
I learned yesterday what actually happened,
Right.
why he picked up, and
Yes.
yeah, you probably just made a mental error there, but on honest, I guess an
Easy.
honest but self-inflicted problem that he picked up before.
Well, you're not
thinking that he was out. Thinking
right,
after the putt was made that he didn't have a chance, so he picked up. But in actual fact, had he putt out and made his par,
they would have had to play off.
And he
for
would
that
have had to play
spot.
off for the first alternate spot for the U.S. Open. So, and as it turns out, he picked up instead of putting out, no playoff for the extra spot. Now he's not even an alternate because he didn't finish out. So now he's got an opportunity, though, this week to get one of the direct qualifier spots through the Canadian Open, as does Max Homa, which was surprising considering here's a guy that played on the Ryder Cup, and he's trying to qualify for the U.S. Open because his world ranking is too high or too low, depending on how you want to look at it, to qualify directly. So he's got to find a spot.
And I don't know where he's at right now in the OWGR, but I think he'll have to win. It's the top 60 after this tournament is over that will be exempt. And that's big for them. And you did mention obviously Adam Svensson. He's going to be one of 21 Canadians that are in the field.
That's pretty awesome.
Obviously, we, because it is hosted by Golf Canada in cooperation with the PGA Tour and obviously sponsor RBC, that gives them some opportunities to get some players in here. And also, from the final qualifier on Monday, that got some players in there. And Ben Silverman got through the U.S. Open qualifying last week, and now he's back up here and playing in Canada. As you said, Svensson's in there. Ware's making an appearance. Some younger guys got in. Eric Zhao should be interesting. He's a cool young guy who got on the Team Canada early on. AJ Ewert's going to have a chance now, who's been playing well on the PGA Tour to do something special. Kingston's Ashton McCullough has got a shot again. He's got an exemption in here, so he's got a chance to play. There's so much to watch. Joey Savoie, who just won down in South America, so he's riding a high as well. And obviously you can't count out guys like Nick Taylor and Corey Connors and or Johan Benson, who a PGA of Canada member who's been dying to play in this tournament for years and just won the Canadian Assistance Championship. And this is a guy who's won several national championships. He can score. Great guy, just commentating for RDS, the TSN French equivalent. And so it'll be fun to see him play here as well.
Now, for those that, off the top, we were talking about the star power. For those that are interested in the star power, it'll be full of star power. You've got Matt Fitzpatrick, you got Justin Rose, Tommy Fleetwood, Colin Morikawa, Aaron Rai, Robert McIntyre, Alex Noren, Christopher Reeton, playing really well this year, Jacob Bridgman, Sam Burns, Hogard, Hovland, Clark, Lowry. There's no shortage of them. I mean, just because you don't have McIlroy, that's one. You've got a dozen more, and then you've got Koepka. I think
Koepka's playing. Yeah.
So while he's not star power by today's standards, it's Brooks Koepka.
He's got 9 PGA Tour wins. So
so this is a guy that's game is starting to get PGA Tour ready, PGA Tour shape. You can start to see him starting to play a little bit more.
So if you're going to pick among those 14 guys that are in the top 50 in the world, and you just named a whole bunch of them there, who are you? Yeah, who are you keeping an eye? And I won't say win. Who are you keeping an eye on that would probably be a strong finisher here? Picking wins is kind of but who would you?
Tommy Fleetwood would probably be top of my list.
Yeah.
And
do you think he's going to have the most fans? Probably.
I think he is.
Outside of the Canadians,
he's going to have the largest following of any of those. Because even a guy like Alex Noren or Christopher Reeton or Hogard, as much as they're top guys, they don't have the fanfare that goes along with being that top level player, that
Right.
top ranked player. So
Yeah.
I don't see even someone like Aaron Rai that's won recently, like
PGA Championship.
champion. I mean, this is a guy that's a major champion this year. I don't
Yeah.
think he's going to have the following that.
No, I think I think Tommy's got that extra little, because
Yeah,
he lost that
fan
playoff.
favorite, man. Like,
Right. Yeah, exactly. And because he lost that playoff to Nick Taylor in 2023 at Oakdale,
yeah,
I think there's some sympathy towards him. And, because he's now got, one PGA Tour win and winning that tour championship, I think fans kind of want to push him along to see. And selfishly, I think they know that if he wins, just like when Rory won, right? That it's a better opportunity or chance that they're going to come back and play again. So if you can lock in a
yeah,
player by the fact that they're going to have some sort of feelings towards an event because they've won
yeah.
it, and again, because he's, a Commonwealth golfer as far as being from England, I think the Canadian Open probably means a little bit more to him.
And I think that as far as Canadians go, I mean, I think Yellow Marju is
Yes,
probably the
Darsh.
fan favorite of Canadians right now. I think that he's probably going to have one of the larger followings out there of the Canadians that are in the field. I mean, not doesn't take anything away from Nick
No.
Taylor or Mackenzie Hughes or Hadwin or any of those guys.
Yeah.
I just
I
think
think
that he's
yeah.
he's the
And
new
it's close to
he's the new shiny coin. You know
yeah,
what
and
I mean? And
it's
he's
close to
playing really well.
yeah, it's close to home for him too. I mean, he's obviously, born in India, Winnipeg, and then Mississauga, and this is not far from Mississauga. So this is kind of up the street, we'll say, for him. So I'm sure there's going to be a good fan contingent that's out here following him, and obviously there always is for the Canadians for sure.
Mhm.
But I think Darsh has played so well early in the year and had success, and to the point of actually, the American broadcasters paying attention to him, which is quite interesting when you watch some of the other events, mostly probably because he played so well at the Players Championship, but he's continued to kind of show his form at other events. So yeah, I think, I think you're right. He's probably going to have a strong contingent. Corey and Mac will always get, the fair bit. Adam Hadwin, this is a great opportunity for him. He's playing Corn Ferry Tour primarily this year. So this is a great opportunity to get a start on the PGA Tour that he hasn't been having. Same for the guys like, Roger Sloan, who's been playing Corn Ferry Tour. Even guys, because of the signature of tour events now, they're not getting as many starts. Who knows? This is a golf course as well. Taylor Pendrith, for a length, a golf
Mhm.
course where you can get 35 to 37 yard wide fairways where a guy can just bash it. It's a good fit for Taylor. I mean, he's a baseball guy and he likes big ballparks. So this is a big ballpark, and I
Hear ya.
think I think he'll do well in a big ballpark.
All right, so here's the thing. The Canadian Open, RBC Canadian Open,
Mhm.
been around since 1904. If the RBC Canadian Open were to be played in this region,
Hmm.
what golf course in this region would be the most likely facility? Now, when we're opening a can of worms here because we're gonna say something, and other golf courses might be upset with that we didn't pick them. However,
Hmm.
these are things that we know. Is there
Hmm.
some criteria that has to be available in order for a golf course to host a PGA Tour event? There has to be a certain so is there
Length
any
is going to be one
length
of
is the
them right
big one.
away.
So
Yeah.
is there a golf course or are there golf courses in this area that are most suited to hosting and if they are, why haven't they? And so I'll put that to you right now. I have in my brain I have a golf course and
Yeah.
I also have the reason why would be the most likely reason why they have never been asked to host or never offered to host or never been selected to host. So you
Yeah,
go.
well, let's just say right away. I mean, there's a reason why most of the hosting that has been done for the RBC Canadian or, the Canadian Open that has been done in Ottawa has been historic. It has been hosted in this region multiple times before, but a long time ago, because at that time, the lengths for the golf courses were appropriate. You didn't have all the scale of corporate type things that need to be taken into account, holding spectators and so forth. I think, I mean, if I looked at it, I mean, logistics. I mean, you got to get over 7,000 yards, which becomes difficult because it eliminates stuff as far as, you know, what can happen. If you're going to throw PGA Tour players out there, I mean, Hunt makes sense, but it doesn't have the length. It's obviously hosted, you know, LPGA very successfully. I think Royal is too short for them. We saw that in the Canadian, you know, men's amateur, you know, great golf course, but, you know, hosted at a previous time. I think you need more room. So I think you need the Rideau Views and the Camelots with more space to be able to do that. And again, I fully don't think any of them really fully meet the requirements that you could have. So give me your thoughts.
My thoughts are, I mean, you're as you're talking through it,
Yes.
I'm on the same page. It comes down to length and logistics.
Yes. 100%.
And while Hunt Club being right in the heart of Ottawa, makes the most sense as a golf course, lots of hotels close by. The problem with Hunt Club is that we've already seen with the CPKC that's a massive event.
Yeah.
And the golf course
is tough just to even host
suited.
that. Yeah.
And that's perfectly suited to host the CPKC.
Yeah.
You know, not that there's not a lot of women out there that can pound the ball out there. We saw Nelly Korda at the U.S. Women's Open hit at 318.
Yeah.
We know that it's doable. The thing is, it's overall, the golf course is just really, really well suited for LPGA or for Champions Tour potentially. But the logistics of parking and shuttling and things like that around the Hunt Club for an event of the magnitude of the RBC Canadian Open, which you would think would be just a little bit more than the CPKC, maybe not. Maybe the spectator level would be similar. I don't know. But it just kind of, I think it rules Hunt Club out just in those aspects of it.
There's so much infrastructure now. I mean, look at the 3-story grandstand that Canadian Open uses now around 18. I mean, you just can't put it many places at all. And you know, Hunt Club's a great course. It can stretch it just under 7,100, but again, you'd have to modify just like they do at TPC. They modify. There's a par 5 that now at 530 yards becomes a par 4, and you'd have to do that. I mean, think about the 9th hole on the South course at Ottawa Hunt. You know, it's a 523 yard par 5 that potentially would become a par 4. There's a couple other holes that you would have to modify as well and make into that. So yeah, logistics is really, I mean,
even 18 at Hunt Club. I mean, you almost think that's a par 5, but
it's 560, so you know it's a little bit longer. I think even off the back tee, I mean, you already got holes like 16 play like 475 as a par 4. But yeah, when you put these guys out there now, I mean, they just hit it so long.
Yeah.
You know, holes like, you know, I guess 1, if you go north south, I mean, 1 on north is, you know, 482, that becomes a par 4. I mean, I think that's the longest combination. People can correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, I mean, it's logistics, I guess, we're there. But I would say we have facilities that are more suitable, as you said, to a Champions Tour or an LPGA Tour.
Yeah, I think so. And so as far as around here, Camelot is probably the one that has the golf course that could potentially, I think it falls in similar line to TPC Toronto as far as length and style of golf course that could provide a really good challenge for them. The only problem I foresee potentially with Camelot, but then I think TPC Toronto Osprey Valley has the similar problem is there's one road in and one road out. Of Camelot. There are no multiple ways to get to it. You either go down 17 from Hawkesbury, you go up 17 from Ottawa. There are some back roads that come across, but you still ultimately have to get to 17 to get in. And I don't know, there's a lot of farmers fields around there, so potentially there's a lot of parking options. But hotels are not, there's not a lot of hotels in the East End. So
no, but and you look at the corporate type of things. There's a reason why, facilities like, Hunt and Royal fit as well, because they can put fan experience. They have 27 holes. So they have other land to make use of putting fan experiences and tents and so forth out there.
Media,
and
like the
media, right. And all that,
yeah.
and doing that at that scale. And it's unfortunate, but this is the way these events are now. They've got to this level that, in order for them to make money, they have to have all this type of corporate, paraphernalia, we'll call it, to go with it, as far as the infrastructure and so forth, TV trucks and everything like this. And I think that's what a lot of fans kind of miss out. I see a lot of people online commenting, "Oh, that course should host the Canadian Open." And it's a very limited number of golf courses that have every element that makes it
and that's why I'm bringing it up is because I know enough. we get the questions a lot whenever the RBC is happening or the CPKC comes here. You always get the questions like, why don't they have a PGA Tour event in Ottawa? It's a major national center. It's like, well, this is why we're having this conversation. It's just that it's RBC Canadian Open week. Why doesn't the Canadian Open come to Ottawa, the nation's capital? Why is it not in the nation's capital at some point? Well,
it's a romantic notion. Yeah, it's a romantic notion, but it's not a logistical notion. Exactly. I mean, look at the fact of this now. They're in the GTA, but I heard Colton Oast talking about on the radio the fact that, if you're going from downtown Toronto out to TPC Toronto, it's almost an hour and a half to get out there. Yeah. It's like 45 minutes, let's call it 45 minutes north of Mississauga. But so, it's Toronto, but it's in the general area. So if they have to take that out of town, you can imagine. I mean, Oakdale was, they're lucky they had 27 holes there, but again, it was still a real tough struggle to find it where parking was out at Downsview.
Well, Hamilton Country Club is the same thing. I mean, there's a reason why it's not at Hamilton Country Club every year.
Well, God, no.
I mean, there's literally, it takes ages and they've done it before. So now the planning of the parking and all that kind of stuff is a little bit easier to say, we did this. As long as we can get these properties, we can do this, we can fix this. If you've never done it before, the logistics of figuring out how everybody's going to park, how everybody's going to get there, that becomes a huge problem. So you're right. The romantic notion is there, nation's capital, Canadian Open makes most sense. Maybe on a landmark anniversary they could do it, but I think we should be extremely happy to have the CPKC here. Maybe somewhere down the road, the Marshes is a realistic option that would be, too. They have the length, they have the course. Maybe
we should have mentioned them from a space
Champions Tour event potentially, maybe sometime. I know they tried at one point to get a Champions Tour event and it didn't happen. So who knows? Anyway, we got to get out.
Okay.
But RBC Canadian Open, everybody. Tune it in. And that's about it for us for this week. So thank you. Thank you to everybody. Thanks to our sponsors, Metcalf Golf Club, Falcon Ridge Golf Club, our presenting sponsor this week, Cobra Golf, the all-new Cobra Golf 3D printed irons featuring fully 3D printed club heads. These irons deliver an unmatched blend of feel, forgiveness, and precision shaping that goes beyond the limits of traditional forging and casting. Experience the future of iron performance and get fit for your Cobra 3D printed irons today. Visit cobragolf.ca for more info. We do hope that you have enjoyed watching and listening to us this week. Be sure to follow us across all of our social media networks, Instagram, X, TikTok, and Facebook. Subscribe on Spotify, Audible, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. And don't forget the YouTube channel. Like us, click the notification bell. Make sure you never miss a single episode. And be sure to check out the Flagstick Academy Series that will have the first set of instruction videos up very shortly. Get over to flagstick.com for more amazing golf content delivered every single day. And subscribe to the Flagstick Digest newsletter, delivered to your inbox free of charge, 3 times a week. Don't want to miss that. But as always, we appreciate you tuning in. Until next week, I'm Jeff Potter.
I'm Scott McLeod.
Remember always to go for the stick.